I'm seeing some faces here I haven't seen in a while. It's good to see y'all. Good to see you. This week, I received a text message from Dr. Sanchez, and he was sharing with me that there was the 4th anniversary of his wife, Pat's, going home to God. And Pat and I shared a kidney. Now, for the first time in years, when I received that text from Dr. Sanchez, my mind flashed back to the night before the surgery. I have no understanding as to why. But it was the night when the doctors explained the procedure to him. It was very detailed. And I guess because I'd made the decision, I came across maybe nonchalant in the conversation with the doctors. And so the doctor quite forcefully said, "Mr. Landry, sit up. Don't you know you can die?" My mom and my sister began crying. And I said, "Yes, but God has got us this far, and I believe God's going to take care of the rest along with you all." Church, this is as close as I ever came to giving up my life for another person. I think my calm in that particular moment was God's grace, and I trusted God for both Pat and myself. And I'm sure Pat's prayers were very influential. She had a much closer line to Jesus than I did. So now, while I'm not ranking myself with the greats, that experience, I think, really drove home what it meant to trust God when you don't know how something is going to turn out in the end. It's hard. Today's scriptures present us with 4 different people who trusted when circumstances would dictate otherwise, just the opposite. There was Abraham, there was Jesus, there was the psalmist, and I think at some level probably even poor little Isaac. 2 of them at least trusted the impossible. Their trust occasioned immense anguish at one time and the surrender of all certainty in their lives. And those 2 were Abraham and our Lord. You see, Abraham, if you remember the book of Genesis, already trusted once as he left his own people with his wife Sarah, called by a God he didn't even know to a land he had never seen. Yet somehow or another, an unshakable sense that God would give him a land of his own, descendants, and that God would, through him and his descendants, bless generations to come. At this particular juncture in his life, only one promise out of the 3 looked like it might finally come to pass, and that was the promise of descendants. He and Sarah were surprised by an unexpected son, an only son, as you heard, that he deeply loved. Yet now he was equally certain that this same God was calling him, asking him to kill his only son as a sacrifice, to, if you will, surrender him, and with him the descendants, the promise, the future. Now, Sacred Heart, don't get caught up on whether or not God actually tested in this way. The original event really is in the midst of antiquity, What I think is enough for you and I to know this morning is to know the story of Abraham's call to trust, despite the impossible, despite the absurd. Join with that, the story of transfiguration. And this also comes immediately after Jesus had a very difficult, I want to say come to Jesus meeting, but you can't do that. Had a very difficult conversation with his disciples about his own fate. They didn't want to listen, and indeed they argued with him. But Jesus spoke the truth, as he always did. He told them he would soon be removed from the scene, disposed of, killed, and because of that, the world would judge his mission as an utter failure. He also had shared that if the disciples continued to follow him, then more than likely they would share the same fate, and they did, with the exception of John the Beloved. So both Abraham and Jesus chose to face the impossible, the irrational, because they trusted God. Now, trust, my friends, doesn't mean they understood. It means because of their relationship of love with God, both of them felt, for whatever reason, they could trust and do what God was asking. Abraham had no idea how. Jesus believed in resurrection, whatever that meant in his mind. Both trusted God, to make sense out of nonsense, to bring life out of apparent death. But there's a third one in this story that I think we forget, in these stories that we forget also trusted. It was God. It was God. God trusted Abraham, and God trusted Jesus, and God trusted that each would trust him so that his hope for the world would not be betrayed and indeed would be fulfilled in the process. And so when Jesus shared with the disciples his certainty that he would be killed and the price of suffering that they would pay if they took seriously the challenge to love each other, again the disciples went into denial. Denial is not a 2021 concept, by the way. It was just too much, Jesus. It was enough. So as they heard the voice then from that cloud, this is what they probably heard. Yes, this is my beloved Son, who will die painfully and shamefully. Now, you listen to him. In other words, know what you're committing yourself to as you listen to my Son. And once you do, don't look back. You know, Sacred Heart, I expect some of us here have probably suffered because we've chosen to love when it would have been easier just to walk away. Perhaps we set out on a certain road of forgiveness despite the recurrence of overwhelming pain and denial and hurt. Maybe we wondered whether we were fools because we saw so little results, and remaining steadfast because we trusted God and we trusted love. Perhaps our response can be one with the psalmist today. I trusted even when I said I was sorely afflicted. Even when I said I was sorely afflicted. You see, the miracle this morning, church, is that God trusts you. God's vision and hope for the world is slowly realized precisely when we decide for God despite circumstances. Not because it's easy, but because it's right. And yes, it may cost us everything spiritually and physically and emotionally. But when you truly love one another, nothing is too much, right? But I'd caution, be careful what you call love. Be careful what you call love. Love is self-sacrificing, not demanding. God's word has never soft-pedaled discipleship, and neither should we. It costs to follow. And all four of these people found that out. And I think many of us know that fact. And church, it takes trust to believe despite astounding odds. But when we do believe, then God's promises continue to bless us. Our world, however small or great, is changed, and redemption is assured. God trusted you. God trusted you. And your presence here means you have responded. And because of both, God's trust and your response, God's redemptive grace continues to flow in our world through you and through me. Never forget that, because that's truly good news. Amen.